So first of all, I have to thank all of you for coming here. Every one of you has given something, and many of you have given time and money and effort, and all of you know how important it is that we not let those people on the other side of Potomac have charge right here in Virginia. And I do want to specifically thank the hosts tonight. I want to thank Sandra and Paul Byrne. I want to thank Ed and Andrea McNicholas. I want to thank Dorothea Peters, the Democrats to go. There she is. I want to thank Anthony Postert and Carrie Butcher for being here. Is Seth Heald and Caroline Heald. There's Seth. Seth Heald and Caroline Heald. Very generous host. Is Ann Gordon here?
She's not here.
She's not here, but she's a very... Thank you, Ann, for your generosity. Thank you very much. I want to thank Kathleen and Julian Joshua, who have been very supportive, not just hosts, but they're always listening to my radio show, and Julian calls in all the time.
When you let me get a word in.
It's all good. We have a sponsor, Michael Seltz. Is he here? I want to thank him. You're his substitute. Well, thank you for coming. On behalf of Michael Seltz. Your generosity means that, and I haven't done all the calculations yet, we're going to add it all up in the end, but we're going to raise at least $6,000 just today, just among all of you here. Now let's talk about where that money's going, okay? Actually, before I talk where it's going, I just want to reminisce a little bit. The first time, I feel like Susan and Charlie have been old friends of mine. By the way, Susan and Charlie, of course, our hosts as well. I'm just at length about Susan and Charlie. Without Susan and Charlie, this absolutely would not have happened. And I want to tell you a little about Susan Davis here. Because Susan actually was not that active in Democratic politics. And I never would have met Susan or Charlie or ever been in this home, except that my field staffers were going around in the Democratic primary 2.5 years ago. And they had a list of my positions on a whole bunch of issues. And they said, well, what if anyone asks a tough question and we don't know the answer? I said, that's fine, just tell them I'll stop by and give them the answer. And they're like, really? You'll stop? Yeah, just tell them I'll stop by. And they're like, okay. So one of my staffers knocks on the door, Susan Davis answers the door. She asks him a detailed question on guns. And he knows, I support gun control, but he doesn't know the answer. I don't even remember the question. Do you remember the question? But she asked a good, tough question. Maybe it was assault weapons ban. I don't remember what it was. And he said, I don't know the answer. And that's fine. So he calls me up. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll stop by your house. Did you tell her I'll stop by? He said, I told her, but she didn't believe me. I'm
like, yeah, okay.
I said, well, let's surprise her. So I knock on the door. Her eyes are like wide open. You really came. And then Susan and Charlie invite me to their home. We sit in that room. We have like an hour-long conversation that starts on guns and goes to any number of progressive things. And here are these two people that live, a few blocks from where I live. I live in North Old Town. I'd never met them before. Inviting me in their home, sharing a drink, and that same campaign, a couple weeks later, they had, like a wine and cheese, a meet and greet for me right here in this very courtyard. I stood right there. And some people here I met at that meet and greet, actually. Yeah. Sandra and Paul Byrne, for example. Paul was just reminding me how insistent I was in trying to get his vote 2.5 years ago. I met the late, great Patsy Tyson, who was standing right here, and came here because of Susan and Charlie. So for me, it's like coming home. It's like coming home.
This is what we do in Old Town.
All right, time for the food.
That's right.
For me, it is like coming home. And I have to tell you, I was pretty insistent then, Paul, 2.5 years ago.
Yes, you were.
I'm even more insistent now.
So was I, by the way.
Yeah. I have smart constituents. I have tough constituents. They ask me good, tough questions, and I love it. I'll tell you one more thing from the campaign. That I was knocking on doors, because I knocked on a ton of doors, and this man came out. Nice guy, and I'm so what issues do you care a lot about? What do you want to talk about? He said, I want to talk about transportation. So I give him my whole views on transportation, what we can do in Virginia, and where I think we can do better, and all this thing. And I give him my pitch, and he's like, I'm I'm like, how'd I do? He's like, yeah, you did pretty good. You did pretty good. I said, thank you. I said, what do you do for a living? He said, I'm the Deputy Secretary of Transportation. So I'm like, I'll take a B+ from this guy. You know. But that's my district. That's who y'all are. Y'all are educated. You are knowledgeable. You also vote in higher numbers than any other district in Virginia, the 45th district. We have to keep that up. We have to keep that up going into November. But I love representing all of you. And just to brag a little bit more about the 45th, since most of you are my constituents, in the entire United States, they looked at every city and every county in the entire United States, and they ranked them by percentage of households with someone who has a college education. And all of the United States, you name the place, it could be Atlanta or San Francisco or Chicago, New York, you name all the place, the highest percentage of college educated people in the country is in Arlington County. The second highest in the entire United States is the city of Alexandria. And actually Fairfax County is 5th in the entire United States. And I represent all 3. So it's such a privilege to represent people who do ask me tough questions, who do read my very long-winded emails, which go on, I know some people say way too long, but y'all want the detail, and I love to give the detail, so I think we're really a perfect match. I want to talk about where your money's going, because this year in Virginia is unlike, I'll follow Susan's rule here.
This is time to drink wine.
Drink your wine, wait, I'm sorry. So, we all know how we felt on November 8th, 2016. Now everyone's spitting out their wine, right? So let's you get a knot in your stomach. I mean, we can all go back to that night where I sat stunned, looking at the television like, this can't be happening, this can't be happening. I still think that way sometimes, but it happened. Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes, but we have a stupid, anachronistic electoral college, which, by the way, I want to change. And in fact, I co-patroned a bill. In fact, I introduced the bill, but Marcus Simon beat me to it by a few days, so I let him introduce it. I co-patroned his bill. But a bill to work around the electoral college to the national popular vote. If you want to know details, ask me about that sometime. The point is, we don't need a constitutional amendment. If just enough states that equal 270 votes, we can actually do it without it, which is light, so I'm working on that. But whatever the case, according to our Constitution, which, even though I carry around wherever I go, is not perfect, it can always be made better, the Electoral College, this anachronism, elected this monster as our president. And since that time, I found most progressives, most liberals, most Democrats, most Americans, but certainly the ones who share our beliefs, have gone into 2 categories. There's what I call the quitters and the fighters. And honestly, at first, I heard mostly despair. I heard a lot of despair. You know, I don't know what to think. I've been crying for days. I can't leave my bedroom. There's no hope in this country. You know, Democrats, there's no hope for us. Sometimes attacking the Democratic Party, sometimes attacking Hillary, sometimes just despairing and woe for the world. And then there were the fighters. The people that said, yeah, this is awful. We recognize it's awful. But the only thing that makes awful more awful is to crawl under the covers and cry. It might feel good, but it doesn't even feel good. Actually, it doesn't even feel good. And it doesn't, we know it doesn't help. We know it doesn't help. When you're knocked down, you got to get back up and you got to fight. And right here in the city of Alexandria and in Arlington, Liz moved from Arlington to Alexandria, so I looked at you and you said that. But in Alexandria and in Arlington, but I know mostly in Alexandria, we have really been fighting. So as a longtime member of the Alexandria Democratic Committee, I would go, we would get, 60, 70 people on a Monday night. Have a seat.
Robert.
Feel free to have a seat. We can move stuff off.
Robert.
Sit right here. Okay.
Are you on it?
Please. Anyway, we used to have 60, 70 people in our meetings. Longtime members, like the Davises know. The first meeting after that election, there were more than 200 people. We have had members come out of the woodwork, people I'd never met before. we have a lot of new people, a lot of young people, people who are coming to Potomac Yards, and they're from Ohio or California, or they don't even know we have elections on the odd years. And they're learning quickly, and they're joining us, and they are active, and they're loud, and they're doing work. I see some of them here today, some of our future.
Hear, hear.
Some of them I roped in from Art on the Avenue in Del Rey. I'm like, come. But we tripled our membership. We didn't have enough room in our bylaws. We had to change our bylaws to expand our membership. I know my monthly meetups. Many of you have come to my monthly meetups. If you haven't come, feel free. It's not a fundraiser. I won't ask you for $1. You can come. You can enjoy the food of Los Tios, or you can get nothing. But I made a commitment from, frankly, before I even was elected in November, after I was elected in the primary, that every single month I would make sure that I'm available to talk with any and everyone who wants to talk with me. And we've been doing monthly meetups. In fact, we grew out of the Del Rey Cafe. We got too big for them. We're now in Los Tios and have been there for more than a year now. And every single month, if you're on my mailing list, and you will be if you're not now, because Steve will put you there, we get together. And it's a great way, if you've got a question about Virginia law, you got a bill you want me to write for you, or something you support, or something you don't support, or something you want me to fight, or you just want to sit around and trash Trump, that's fine. It's a nice informal way to get together. You don't have to make a formal appointment. And it's like, I need to talk to Mark about that. Boom, October. Look on the website, October 28th. Actually, is my next monthly meetup. If you missed the one in October, there'll be one in November. If you missed one in November, there'll be one in December, every single month. And that's my way of being available. And I get ideas from y'all. And I bring them into the General Assembly. But through the monthly meetups, I've just seen this energy. And like I said, when I first started my monthly meetup, I had maybe 10, 11 people, including staff. When I had a primary opponent, I had 135, which really surprised me. And we sometimes 30, sometimes 70. The energy is amazing in Alexandria. More grassroots groups than I can remember have popped up out of nowhere in Alexandria. There's Indivisible Alexandria, there's Grassroots Alexandria, and my personal favorite is the one run by Dorothea Peters back here, called Democrats to Go.
All right.
If you don't know what Dorothea Peters does, let me tell you what she does, because she's amazing. What Dorothea does is she gathers up groups of good progressive Alexandrians, like all of us here, and she puts them on a bus. Well, I don't know how you do it. Caravans, cars. She sends them to the collar counties where the battles are being fought, right? Blue, inside the Beltway, we're damn blue. Alexandria and Arlington, we're as blue as can be. We've kind of bluified most of Fairfax. There's about 3 places left we need to hit, but most of Fairfax. The big battles, the purple Virginia, the part separating Northern Virginia from the rest of Virginia, the borderlines, is Loudoun and Prince William County. And of the seats that there's 34 delegates that are Democrats in the House of Delegates out of 100. But Hillary Clinton, even though we're gerrymandered, Hillary Clinton got 51 of those delegate seats in 2016. So she won all 34 of ours, and 17 seats held by Republicans. So a lot of people talk about the magic 17, I talk about mission 51. My goal is to get to 51, however we can do it, so we can have a majority. So of those 17 seats, 10 are right here in Northern Virginia. Right here in Northern Virginia. 6 are in Prince William alone. Another 3 in Loudoun, one more Fairfax based. It's right here. And so what Dorothea recognizes is that we need y'all to vote in Alexandria. Absolutely. We need Ralph Northam and Justin Fairfax, Mark Herring. They need your votes. But we can help elect delegates outside. So she has organized for months now, caravans of people. Who here, I don't mean to call it out, but who here has been on Dorothea Peters, has done some of the Democrats to Go? We got a few people here. That's terrific. I'm sure she'll take more if you've got time between now and then. But she's been setting them out, and we've been helping these wonderful candidates. We have more Democrats vying for House of Delegates seats than the Republicans have running. I want you to think about that. They have 66, we have 34, and yet we have 88 candidates running, and they have like 7. We are challenging all but 12 of the Republican seats, including in some places that haven't had a Democrat run in decades. And I'll tell you something else about our candidates. The majority of them are women. We've never had women. The majority of our candidates are women. Steve, have a seat. We have a lot of millennials Looking out my millennials out here. We have at least one quarter of them are millennials. At least a quarter of them are people of color. Not just African American, but we could have the first Latina, the first Asian American woman, a Vietnamese immigrant, Kathy Tran, I think is very likely to win. Really moving the bar forward. We have 5, in addition to Mark Sickles and me, who are currently gay members of the House of Delegates, we have 5 LGBT candidates around here, including women who would be the first lesbians there, and Danica Rome, who would be the first transgender state legislator in the country, right here in Virginia, in Prince William. Now, that's amazing. And the person she's running against is one of the worst homophobes, anti-trans people, Bob Marshall, in Prince William. So this is like the battle of good and evil right here, and it's just right outside the doorstep. Think about that while we have this initiative. So these are some great candidates. We have a lot of veterans. We have nurses. We have social workers. We have doctors. We have farmers. We have, you name it, they're running for the House of Delegates. And I have, mostly behind the scenes, been helping anyone who'll give me a call. If you're a Democrat, you're running for the House of Delegates, and you call me, we're going to have a more than an hour conversation because I like to talk a lot, if you haven't heard. And I've been giving them advice, and some of them, most of them, I think have blossomed into be some really, really fantastic candidates. People like Dante Tanner, who they never said didn't have a chance. People like Elizabeth Guzman, who would be the first Latina in there. We've got David Reed. I can name them all. David Reed. We've got Hala Ayala. We've got Kathy Tran and Jennifer Carroll Floyd, who I think I've got it. I don't want to. I think they've got it. Knock on wood. We have so many good candidates. I mentioned Danica Rome. Chris Hurst, an amazing candidate. Many of you know his story. And if you don't know his story, his fiancee was murdered by a lunatic with a gun. He was a TV anchor, and he switched from television to running. He's got a tough race. Not because he's not great. He's great. He's got a tough opponent. That one is neck and neck. Where your money goes is precisely to those neck and neck races. It goes technically through me to the House Democratic Caucus. And the reason it goes to the House Democratic Caucus is we as a caucus, by the way, your state senator, Adam Evan, has just arrived.
Here, here.
The House Democratic Caucus is the 34 of us Democrats in the House. And we hire professionals, and it's their job, and they report to us, to look at all the polls, to look at all the fundraising, to see how many doors each of the candidates are knocking, to find out what their mail pieces are, to find out what their opponents are doing, and to research it and find out so they can be very careful with their money. And they could say, all right, this person has all these TV ads going against them, we need to help him, or we need to help her. They got all these mail pieces going against her. And we are very careful with your money. For example, the candidates who are doing really, really, really well won't get our money. They're doing too well. And that's a good thing. And honestly, we get some criticism for this. The candidates in the very, very hard districts who are so proud of running and building up Democrats, in that district that Hillary Clinton got 32% in, we love you. I'll give you all the advice behind the scenes, but they're not going to get your money either. We can't afford to fund all of them. Your money is going to the most competitive districts. I think there's going to be a number of races where people win by triple digits, and I'm willing to bet at least one race will be decided by double digits, by less than 100 votes. And I want to be on the Democratic side of the ledger, but on the Republican side of the ledger. And that's where your money is going. Your money is going to make the marginal difference in the most competitive races by our experts who are analyzing it. And they're looking at everything. They're looking at the quality of the candidate. They're looking at the nature of the district. They're looking at they make decisions and they change them every week. All right, this person has enough money. This person needs your money. We did analysis as of last week. And there's millions of dollars at stake here. And we, as the House Democratic Caucus, we are $300,000 short. That may seem like a lot of money, and it is. But there's 34 of us. If each of us raises $10,000, we've got it. And I think we raised at least $6,000, maybe $7,000 right here today. So I'm doing what I can for the caucus. Y'all are doing what you can for the caucus. So I'm sorry, I don't like asking for money. It's hard to do. But this is our year like no year. There's never been a year in Virginia history, to my memory, we have as much chance to pick up more seats than right here in 2017. And we know the reason. It's a bad reason. It's a terrible reason. It's that lunatic in the White House. But whatever the reason, time. Whatever the reason, we all know that you can sit alone and cry or you can fight. And every one of you here is a fighter. And I want to thank all of you personally for joining in the fight, for helping. And some people say, well, why can't I just donate to the House Caucus? Well, you could. You could. I'll be very frank about this. If they rank us, all 34 of us, and they say how much money comes through you and how much money comes through someone else. And frankly, I'd like to make it to the House leadership. If you want me to have a strong voice in where the Democrats in the House go, going through me to them helps me get that voice, and something that hopefully I can get next year. Right, so I admit, I'm just being fully transparent here. Speaking of transparency, and I won't go on for too long. I tend to do that. But my proudest accomplishment this year is the Virginia Transparency Caucus. So those of you who don't know, I am the co-founder of the Virginia Transparency Caucus. And I have to tell you, one of the reasons why it's kind of good to get a new guy in there is because I don't know what I can't do. And so I just do it. You know, some say like they never figured out how the bumblebee flies. They can't figure it out aerodynamically, but the bee doesn't understand aerodynamics, he just flies. So I'm kind of like that. I was actually told by one of my Democrats, I won't say who, you can't do this, you're a freshman. You can't found a caucus on your second day in office. Chill out, relax, learn the rules, and then do it. And I'm like, thank you, I appreciate that, I disagree, I'm going forward. So I met, I actually met another freshman. Her name is Amanda Chase. She's a Tea Party Republican. She's so far to the right that not only is she to the right of Eric Cantor, she's kind of to the right of Dave Brat. All right?
Donald Trump.
Maybe to the right of Donald Trump. She and I agree on nothing except we both agree that what happens in the General Assembly should be transparent. We should all know what happens there. Amanda and I agree on nothing else. But we both agree that you, our constituents, have a right to know what we do. And honestly, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. When I came into the General Assembly, we didn't even archive videos on the House of Delegates. They were streamed. If you caught it, you might catch it, but otherwise it wasn't even kept there. We actually, part of our caucus, and our caucus is equally divided between Democrats and Republicans. We have members of the House and members of the Senate. We are bicameral and bipartisan. And I've been very careful to not to have too many Democrats in there because I want to keep the Republicans equal. But we put forward a bill. Bill died in subcommittee like all these bills kind of do. And everyone's like, well, you tried, Mark. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I can't do. So I did something that I learned about working in Congress with Barney Frank. I just put a letter around. Just a letter to the clerks of the House and the Senate saying we, the undersigned, want to see every committee, every subcommittee filmed. It wasn't a bill. The bill died like that. Speaker didn't like it, but it just went around, and lo and behold, we got 65% of members of the House and the Senate, Democrats and Republicans, signing on to that letter. Not only did we get that, we got a majority of the House and a majority of the Senate, and coming in 2018, they are going to film and archive every single committee hearing in the General Assembly.
Hear, hear.
I was always taught if you can't get in through the door, try the window. and that's what I did. And I'm not done, because I just said committees. We don't have subcommittees yet. We need subcommittees. I'm not done. I'll take the half a loaf, but I want the full loaf. And a number of you have asked me about Las Vegas. And there are a number of people, when you talk about things like this, immediately comes the hopelessness, right? You know, we didn't do anything after Newtown. The country didn't do anything after Sandy Hook. If all those little kids were murdered, nothing can be done.
All those white kids being murdered.
Well, if anyone's being murdered, Charleston, I mean, the point is, you just name it, right? Charleston, Aurora, Orlando, a lot of gay kids being murdered, Columbine. And a lot of people feel really hopeless about this. And my view is you get up, you dust yourself up, and you get to work. So, day after Las Vegas, I said that I'm going to introduce legislation in the Virginia General Assembly to ban bump stocks. to ban the thing that changes semi-automatics to automatics. Now, first of all, Congress may do it ahead of me, which is great. That would be much bigger than my Virginia solution. That's fantastic. And some people say, well, that's a really small thing. And I agree, it is a small thing, but it's a start. You've got to start somewhere. But when people say, why do we need Mission 51? Why do we need a Democrats in the House? Why does it matter? Just look at gun laws. Just look only at gun laws. That's the issue that Susan and I first talked about when I came to her door. If we had 51 Democrats in the House of Delegates, we could do amazing things with gun laws. We could get background checks. We could get full background checks in Virginia. We could reinstate the 1 gun a month. We could do a law like that Adams worked on to keep children from having easy access to loading guns. And that's just guns. That's not Medicaid expansion and healthcare and doing something about gerrymandering and transportation and education and reproductive freedom and civil rights and protecting immigrants and paid family medical leave, and I can go on and on and on and on. One thing, people say, well, the Democrats controlled Virginia in the 90s. It's true, but they weren't progressive Democrats then. There were some conservative Democrats. Let me tell you something about my caucus. There are no conservatives left in the caucus. We have proudly sustained every single one of Governor McCullough's vetoes. We are a proud progressive group, and when we grow, I can tell you these great candidates, we will grow, and we can stop playing defense and start playing offense and make this a better progressive Commonwealth. So I want to thank all of you for contributing to that effort, for coming here tonight. We'll go back in the air conditioning, we'll enjoy our wine.
One thing I'm hoping that you guys can do, and I never brought this up to you, but it came to me after a few glasses of wine. Can we make a law in Virginia that doesn't allow a person to run for president unless they show us their tax returns?
So I've already introduced that legislation. I did it last year. I did it this year. In 2017, you can look it up. It's 2444, and they killed it so fast that I think you can actually watch it online. I think the whole hearing on it was 2 minutes, and it was just me, and I was scolded. Not only did they kill it, but they did something that's called pass by indefinitely. Most bills they kill by tabling them. It's a nice way to say, we're going to look at this later, they never look at it again. But my bill's like, no, kill that bill! They hated my bill, but you know what? I introduced it. Give me 51, Susan, and I guarantee you, not only will I introduce it, but we will pass that bill in the House.